Hello, hello. Can you hear me? I've been talking this whole time. No sound. Tell me it's working now. Wow. Did not notice that. Yeah, that's on me. I actually had the mic set to mute because I'm a dum-dum. Sorry about that, gang. Yeah. These things happen. Late start, wrong settings. Such is life. Is the music working? I'm just winning across the board. Hello, Lazy. Hello, Cypher. Welcome. Glad you could join me. Sorry. I'm sitting there chatting at you guys and you couldn't even hear me. That's so funny. Oh, good. I'm glad. Despite my terrible mistakes. I'm just stumbling through life, gang. That's how it is. I wish you'd told me sooner. I was just sitting there gabbing. Jeez. You guys are enjoying my embarrassments, I think, a little too much. That's not cool, man. That's not cool. You're supposed to be my friends. Avid, hi. Welcome. You were practicing lip reading with my silence? I think you wank stains just left me high and dry. That's what happened. You monsters. Are you dining and watching? Foods. I'm weirdly not hungry right now. I guess my snacky snacks earlier were plenty. Okay, let's move on. Understandable. I often get preoccupied with food. So as I said previously, to nobody in particular, just to my room, hope everybody's weekend went well. You had a nice Halloween. As much as you could have, considering current events. Looks like we're getting some network hiccups. That's awesome. Creature of habit. You emailed the company for card art and they said they'd like to give you a test to work on, and only if they deem it good enough they'll pay you for it and put it in the game. How do I feel about that? You know, we all go through one of those. I don't recommend working for free. If they like your art, that's bullshit. That's not the way it should be done. To me, that's a sign of likely a company that you might consider avoiding or not trusting. But you know, it's up to you. If you feel like this is a chance to kind of prove yourself and you're willing to do the challenge, you've got the time. You know, I wouldn't yell at you for going for it. But you know, we all get a couple of those. I did a couple of things that ended up just being a complete joke in terms of my pay, and I got taken advantage of. So do it with that caveat. Be careful. For a real deal company, there should be no tests that are unpaid. Every test should be paid, especially if it's something that they would potentially use. Paying you after the fact on spec for art is, if it's not a commission, rather, very sketchy. My philosophy is, if you could be spending that time working on a piece that you genuinely care about and actually, putting in your portfolio, maybe that's better time spent. But if you can do two birds, one stone, it's not the end of the world. Oops. So this sort of stretched finger webbing we're going to be doing here needs to get some of this light. And it's a valley, and as we know from lesson 1 on YouTube, hills and valleys are the ones that get the light. Pretty sketchy. I think either way you can put the piece in your portfolio. If you can put it in your portfolio, then do it. And if they're giving you an assignment and they're saying, "Are you going to do our assignment good enough?" Treat it as a portfolio piece and tell them that if they don't take it, you're going to show it. This is the thing. Like if they're asking you to do something specific for them, then they need to pay you for it. And if they're insisting that you do something for them and they get to decide whether or not they publish it and they think that you can't put it in your portfolio, that's a problem. So if they're fine with you putting in your portfolio no matter what, and they're not giving you an assignment per se, no problem really there. Is the pay good? It's a good question as well. You barely paint. So when you sat down to paint it yesterday, you were surprised at how much fundamentals you'd already grasped from watching the videos. That's awesome. That's so great. Well, you should keep at it for sure. It's a logic thing. So once you understand the function of how light and form work, you can pretty much play however you want and grow those skills if you care to. Kilrathi, welcome. Glad you could join us. The pay is not very good, but you figure getting work in as many games as possible is good. Yeah. Ultimately, if that time can be spent working on your portfolio so that you can land the better jobs, that's my only argument against that philosophy. But if you think that it is a good move for your personal sort of mountain in the distance that's going to take you where you want to go, then go with God. Make it happen, my man. I wish thee the best of luck. Because that's cool. As long as you're moving towards your goal, it's never really a loss. I just really don't like studios and projects taking advantage of artists. That makes me mad. I'm going to go over there and punch them in the tits. Some kind of weird, maybe this is like his space suit. That'd be pretty funny. Oh, I know what's going on. My seat's a little low. And that's unacceptable. We don't like that. Okay, so I've got my spot figured out a little bit better on the front. Let's sharpen up this back leg feature. I don't want to go too bright here. If I go as bright as what I have up in the front there, it would be accurate to the light source, but the problem is that it would be this really bright spot out in the middle of nothing. And as it is, I fear that it will be too much of a contrast, that it'll make a big draw to the eye. And I'm looking to avoid counterintuitive focal points. Going all out down today with the button-down shirt. You like the button-down, huh? Wait, you guys shitting on my normal hoodie and t-shirt? This isn't going all out. This is laundry day is what this is. I gotta wash all of my normal trash hobo clothes. The irony working out, of course, to be that that's when I dress my best. I figure it's better to be dressed nice when you're not wearing any underwear. Oops. Oops, oops, oops. Nope. Don't like that. David, thanks again for the... Oh, you just did a new subscription. Thanks. Appreciate it. Glad you could stick with us. It was all that talk on my hobo clothes, wasn't it? Well, since our last session, I have now added a soundboard. I don't know exactly how it works because I can't see it from your end, but there should be something there where you can pay bits and play Irina's disappointed mom voice in me. So that is now an option. You can audibly play your disappointment in my filth. Such filth. Do it for you guys. You got an ad? Oh no, I'm sorry. They do that. They like to monetize, you know. It's their way. I'm kind of letting this drop off back here. I don't need it to be super refined. I just want it to feel not necessarily sketchy. A little bit of contact shadow. And this is probably a good time for us to drop in that cast shadow. Let's see. And we'll just drop it in above. Why not? It should be some kind of a pop-up. I think it's on the right of the screen somewhere. Not entirely sure. Like I said, I have no idea how this stuff works. I'm just struggling, guys. I don't know what I'm doing. So lost and confused. Yeah, I'm gonna do that too. That's a wise idea, Cypher. Okay, according to our logic of light and color, episode number 1, from a singular light source, we're not going to have shadows that multiply into each other. It's impossible. But what you can have, and does happen, is you can have shadows have hard edges and soft edges, which sometimes can look like one is harder or one is darker than the other. When you're going to have harder shadows, it's generally when an object is closer to the object that's having light, having a shadow cast onto it. So where these little leggy bits are sticking, that's going to be the sharpest shadow, and it'll get softer because the head is blocking light from further away and it's closer to the light source. Now, because I'm going to have a fill light, we're going to be able to play with that a little bit, and I'll show you how. But we won't get into that just yet. The first thing I want to do, now that we've established the cast shadow a little bit, I want to erase it out of the back leg just a little bit, and I want to include a stronger contact shadow. That's our ambient occlusion. And you'll find that that tends to seat things pretty well. It gives them a point of contact on the ground, or whatever the plane it is that they are touching. You can have contact shadows between objects, between two objects, and you can have contact shadows that are between the same object when it's close to itself. So for example, you might have contact shadows here where the arms pinch. It would be darker because there's no light in there, and so the shadow is pooling. Maybe even in the armpits. Down here. Any place you've got like kind of a deeper wrinkle. And contact shadows are generally going to be lines. Almost always. Pretty rare when they're not. I kind of want to bring some of that red into these weird patches. I'm just trying to get rid of these red lines for now. I don't mind if they're hinted there, but I don't want it to be so clearly line art. Avid, off to dinner? No worries. Thanks for joining us for a little bit. We will be here for a while this evening. I don't know if I'll go the full length of time. I have, I think I've mentioned it before, I'm working on a gallery project. It's sort of a big group project, and I've been trying to pass off the piece to the next person in line from the group that's going to work on this big group thing. And I have some openings tonight, I think. So in order to get it done earlier, I may cut our session just a little bit short and run downtown to Portland to drop it off at the school. But once it's out of my hair, I don't have to think about it anymore. It's going to be so great. You're making Korean barbecue. Nice. That's one of my favorites. I love Korean barbecue. I love the art style of Darkest Dungeon, but it's kicking you in the face. Diao, welcome. Yeah, glad you could join us, and I know exactly how you feel. That is a very difficult art style. That is absolutely a situation where either one or a small group of artists have kind of really locked down a look. So it's tough. Their influences, though, if you're interested in looking at the reference to kind of help you get a better grasp on why they're making the decisions they are for light and dark, are medieval woodblock drawings, woodblock print. So you could check out some of that stuff and see how that more traditional woodblock print thing can kind of force you to chunk your values together, because you need to be able to make a simple, you need to make a complex thing with a simple tool, and it's tough. Obviously, it's an art form that has evolved over the years and has gotten much, much more refined. But if you look at the style from kind of the medieval era, you'll see what I'm talking about. Maybe it's not even medieval. I'm thinking also woodblock. And they actually, weirdly, woodblock art often features witchcraft. So, yeah, that works out too. And Darkest Dungeon was a really fun game. I played the hell out of it for a while and then just got frustrated. It was kind of like XCOM for me. I loved the game, but then it just started kicking my ass too much, and I stopped having fun. I don't have time, basically, to just get crunched. That's why I won't do Dark Souls or Sekiro or any Souls-likes, really. I'm not in it for the masochism. I'm an old man. I'm choosing a hard overlap there from that finger because I want I don't want any ambiguity about the tangency. Okay. I'm kind of thinking that some of this is his spacesuit, like an organic spacesuit, and nothing says spacesuit like some weird seams. So why not? Let's go down this rabbit hole. He's basically wearing little footy pajamas. Alien footy pajamas. Gotta love it. How do they get such clean lines in woodblock prints? Well, basically they take a flat piece of wood, a plank of wood, and then they carve out their shapes, and then they ink it with a bolster, I think, and they just press it. And because the carving tools tended to be a little bit more rustic, they would dig deeper. And I mean, you can get totally different values. You can do lots of hatching and things like that. But there's something about some of those medieval prints that are really nice and chunky. And I think those are the ones that are being referenced by the team that does Darkest Dungeon. One of the things I have found doing character design over the years is that if you have an unusual foreshortening situation, like we do with these pants or with these legs, right, where one is kind of long ways and one is a little bit foreshortened towards us and has a stranger shape to it, which we need to define, creating little cross contour lines like this can really help give your viewer anchor points to kind of manage what they're seeing visually. So if we give them kind of a really nice big round shape to imply our cross contour of the seam, that can give us an effect. In fact, we may not even see the seam from this side. I think I overdid it adding it. So we'll get rid of the seam there, but we'll leave the we got a cross contour, of course, with the light. It's hitting it. And then we'll have our seam here that implies the continued part of the seam on this side. I think just value-wise, we can get rid of that because it's kind of confusing. I think we could probably move this just a little bit. Yeah, good spot. Omi Dusk. Welcome, glad you could join. It's getting there. We definitely have a solid framework that we're building. I think our next bit will be, well, let's just finish out this one light source. Because we have a object that is closer to the light source, blocking light from another object, we will have a cast shadow. So let's go ahead and throw in our cast shadow. I don't want it to be a big deal, so we'll leave it like that. Go back to our cast shadow up here. This is just kind of narrative lighting. I just don't want to make a big deal out of these hand shadows. I just want to imply them, hint that they're there. See how the cast shadow kind of gives it just plants it in space. It's such an important feature to include in your character designs. Okay, I think we're okay there on that hand. Let's get to the other hands. Well, I suppose we can do a little bit of secondary detail here. These are the kind of things you want to watch out for when you're doing this stuff. You want to make sure that you don't have completely out of place values, even if it's a line and even if it's actually describing the form and helping you. Because we're trying to paint with light and form here, it's going to run counter. Of course, you can have lines there, but they just can't be value breaking lines. Note that I have lines all down here. These little cross contour lines are all over the place. But for it to feel like a painting and we're doing sort of representational three-dimensional light, if you have lines that are outside of your value key, it's going to break it and it'll look graphic. And I think we're going to use appropriate value lines to underline, or not underline, but create the bottom side of these fingers. Just so that they don't feel only like paintbrush strokes. They need to feel a little bit more rendered than that. Large mail for sale. Thank you very much. Glad you could join us, man. We were just talking about pricing ourselves. You could have probably contributed to that conversation. All right. Here we go. Just defining some edges. I love this brush because it allows me to be really gentle with my pressure, and so I can get a lot of value variation and sharpness variation just by pen pressure, it makes it easier to render when you can do multiple things with a single stroke. Is this promo art for Megamind 2, Legend of the Mayan Treasure? You waited so long for that movie to come out? No, I actually forgot about Megamind, to be honest. Is there going to be Martian in it? This is a sort of a fan art / redesign of these creatures from a pinball game I like. Megamind was pretty great, though. I haven't seen it in a long time. Large mail for sale. Thank you so much for that follow. Glad you could follow along. Welcome, welcome. I don't normally like zooming in like this, so this is a poor use of my effort. You're going to get a drawing tablet with a display. You're just not able to build good enough hand-eye coordination to use one without a screen well. That's fine, man. There's a whole market for it. That's totally fine. I'll just be quietly judging you, but nah, kidding. That's totally fine. Most industry people use Cintiqs or tablets with screens, so there's nothing wrong with it at all. It's completely normal. Don't feel bad. I'm actually the weird one on that. What do we got going on here? Took you a while to get used to the tablet? Yeah, me too. Gareth! Hey, welcome! Glad you could join us, bud. How you doing? Thug. Awesome. Raids are always welcome. Glad y'all could join us. Oh, don't believe Gareth about that talent thing. That's not true. He's highly paid for that. Thanks, Gareth. Y'all are so sweet. We're painting an alien monster from Mars over here. He doesn't have junk, though, so it's safe. Oh, large mail for sale. You would like to name a layer. What will it be, and what's the name? How are all our new friends doing? Hopefully everybody had a decent Halloween. Samhain have had a good Day of the Dead. All that lovely stuff. Human ritual. I do enjoy it. Probably one of the Huon because they have good price, size, quality ratio. You got no money for some decent Wacom stuff? Hey, the other tech is great, so go for it. I mean, Wacom's been at the top long enough that other companies have been able to kind of get a good feel for what will work. You thought it was a portrait of you, all Saxon, old Saxon. I was told it was a self-portrait by my Discord community. Very brutal, cruel people. Them, Gareth. All is good. Had a good weekend. Good day of work, and now I'm cracking. I started my Twitch today with the microphone off, so it was like 20 minutes of me talking with no sound, which was awesome. Come on in. There's tons of self-embarrassment here. Nothing happened on the Halloween. Yeah, it was pretty quiet around here, but I had a good time. I watched Halloweener movies. It's good. Rename layer 36, Megamind 2, Electric Boogaloo. 36. Oops. Megamind. Legend of the... Oh, it's not Mayan, it's Mian. Beautiful. There it is. Thank you so much for that rename a layer. Go on eBay, you can find some pretty good deals. For Wacom, probably, yeah. They're great. And they last a long time. I mean, most of mine I've used for at least a decade each. So, hey, now it's doing the raid noise. That's great. Thank you for the follow, Marbud. Welcome. Eye in the Dark. Also, thank you for the follow. Welcome. Lazy says, check out the XP pen tablets. Those are pretty good. I haven't tried them. They must be pretty good. Yeah, like I said, a lot of the knockoff brands now have been in the market long enough to actually refine themselves to be quality devices. New channel point redemption. Yes, I added a new kind of, it's like a bits thing for sound, what do they call that? Not a sound card. A sound panel or something like that. Irina had recorded herself saying disappointedly, "Oh, Izzy," and I have implemented that specifically for her, so she can share her disappointment in me when I say filthy and terrible things that would offend thine ears. You got yours for $200, and it was one of the newer Wacom Intuos Pro tablets. Really nice. That's a great deal. eBay might be the way to go. You think you did a rename instead of just name a layer and wasted 50 points. Oops. That's all right. Name another layer. There you go. And it hurts every time she says it. I cry a little inside. SSMG, thank you for the follow. Welcome. Glad you could join. Yeah, Irina's broken heart breaks my heart. I gotta work on my filthiness. I'm a gross person. Can't help it. I was just born this way. It's a monster. Yeah. This color pick delay is driving me nuts. Okay, we're gonna do a little bit of fun magic right now. I think I got most of my line stuff. Nope, I forgot one arm. You did not hear it. Oh my goodness, that is fucking unacceptable. Let me suss this out real quick. Side Bish, thank you for the follow. Sound alerts. Let me open you up. Sorry guys, I'm totally new to using this stuff, so I'm not entirely sure how to make it work, especially on the fly. Best buying a small community tab, but I appreciate the quality of the art. Hey, thanks, Large Mail for Sale. Glad you could join us. Take it easy, my man. All right, let me see here. Maybe. Oh, okay. I'm not seeing it in the audio mixer. Maybe that's why. Don't worry about it now. Yeah. It's just annoying. I spent some time this weekend setting it up. It's in there. I saw the visual for it. Did you guys see the visual pop up? I'll suss it out. Sorry about that, Thug. That's disappointing. I hate it when things don't work. Especially tech stuff. Oops. You didn't see the visual pop up. Oh, you did see it. Okay. Well, shit. That's really weird. You only saw the text in the chat. Okay. I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board with that. I'll disable it until I get it working. We're just filling up the dark line, or the red outline right here. I just want it to not feel like a drawing. Let's do a little bit of ambient occlusion to kind of make this a slightly more important spot, because it'll have a little more value pickup than some of the other areas. Just text indicating it was purchased. Shit. Yeah, unfortunately, gang, I'm totally figuring this out as I go. I have very limited knowledge on Twitch. And when I think there might be something cool to add, I try and add it. But you know, sometimes there's hiccups. Wouldn't be as exciting without them, right? I know you guys like to watch me squirm. Lazy's also got the limited knowledge. It's fair. It's fair. Mega Rage, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome. Glad you could join us. So were you guys just playing Among Us with Gareth? Thug? All right, remember what I was saying about the value shift. You can't have the outline be dark if it's on the light side. So I'm going in and using the lighter value to create the new outline. Just to kind of get it into the painterly space so it feels a little bit less hand-drawn. You're playing the new one from Dark Pictures called Little Hope. It's been great. Is that a horror one? Oh my goodness. Until Dawn Peeps. Ooh, must be horror then. Yep, can't play that. I shit myself. Definitely, if y'all enjoy a good laugh, you should give Gareth a follow. He does video games and comedy. It's a great show. Thug got me onto him. It's very entertaining. The Among Us one was one of my favorites. That was a while ago, I guess. These noodle ones in the back look really janky, but we'll clean them up with some, with the fill light, I think. I'm just gonna grab a little round fill brush. It's gonna give me a little more. Struggling with lines all the time can be kind of a pain in the butt. This is just faster. You choose to rename the penis Little Hope from now on. That's a good idea. I like it. You know, real commitment to the joke would be to get it tattooed on. Just saying. I got a friend, he's got a tattoo that says, "Welcome aboard." I've seen it. Yeah, I'm dead serious. He really did it. That's commitment to comedy, right? He got it from an old movie, I think Down Periscope or something like that. The Down Periscope remake. Something like that. One of those Navy comedy shows. And one of the characters had that, and he decided that he would do it. And now the man has a tattoo. I mean, you got to stretch it special so you can read it, but it's there. Thug redeemed. Name a layer. What's the layer we're naming? The layer that contains the weenus. Little Hope. All right, that we can do. The Little Hope. I think it requires, you know, that little bit of extra. I think we're going to art direct that just a touch. The Little Hope. You know, it kind of implies a whole tale. Like, there could be an animated adventure involved. And I would love to see that. That would be entertaining as hell. Yours is basically a ghost ship. I feel you, brother. I real do. Especially these days. Eh. Alright, we'll leave the little noodly bit fingers there for now. And now it's going to be a real fun part. So we're going to add the fill light onto the interior where all of the darks are happening. And that's where a lot of really interesting shapes are going to happen, where it's going to start feeling more rounded out. So I've been holding off on that, knowing that it's going to be a kind of a fun thing. So we will get started on that. Let me do one more dark pass real quick on top of Little Hope here. See, Little Hope's getting some action. Set it to multiply. Pick a light layer. Anytime you're using multiply, use a lighter value. If you're using screen, you use a dark value. Otherwise, you'll blow out the value key. All I'm looking to do is unify the values just a touch. And I'm using just a little tiny bit of color to do so. And this is just to break things up. This is because I'm seeing in value in my head. I know to look for it, but let me turn it on for you. This is the value view. So taking this off, you can see, if you squint at it, that some of these values get a little bit lost. So I want to make sure that they're clearly delineated darks, and we're going to fill them up for the most part, so that we can now expand our values to go lighter into the fill light, and that will round out our form. And we will maintain control of our value key in the darks without going too light. You see? That is the key. That's why it's called a value key. Shut up. Don't judge me. Tamika Hayes, thank you for the follow. Welcome. So glad you could join. Let me get rid of some of these cast shadow lines are mussing up our lovely value key. Mustn't have that. No, 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 no. No es aceptable para mí. We're going to value pool the limbs here with the belly. And we're just going to let it be. I'm not going to try and delineate. We're going to come back and we're going to do a little, I'm going to erase out that value, the multiply that I added. But we're just going to paint in, I can even leave it like this. We're just going to paint in a slight light that's going to reveal the bounce light off of the legs. But we can pool it for now, you see? You pool it for now, and then you can define things later. Little tricky tricks. I love those. You immediately got it when I switched to black and white. Yeah. Over time, with some practice, you basically will learn to see that without having to do it, just because you'll know how your eye is being tricked. And that's really the goal, is to understand logically what you're seeing, so then you can manipulate it and manipulate somebody that's watching what or looking at a painting that you've painted. Because that is what this very much is just a game of manipulation. The good kind, though, visual manipulation. It's like magic. Alien Scully, thank you for the follow. So glad you could join us. All right, now he's got his little weak little noodle arms. I have unified the values a little bit on the bottom. I don't think I need to do much more with the face and neck. Let's go ahead and hit it a little bit. I don't want to overdo it though, because this is already pretty dark. But we can do a little bit of refining on his teeths, his little toofies. He's gotta visit the dentist pretty regularly. Or maybe he's like a shark, he just sheds his tooths. They just fall out of his little face there when they get too dull. I'm just really quickly defining the shadows, the shadow side of the thing. It doesn't need to be super figured out because I'm going to get away with a lot of stuff with my fill light. A lot, but I'll still have to clean up a little bit. Is this Cullen? Whose notes are those on the canvas? Those are mine from last week, last Thursday, because I knew that it would be a few days. And so sometimes I try and leave visual notes where I'll just I'll add like a real dark that's really out of place to let me know, okay, I want that to be a shadowed area when I come back to this. But sometimes it's just easier to write it out. So I did that last time because I'm also experimenting with kind of a new technique for painting. I found just sort of browsing on YouTube this artist, I think Russian or I don't know, Eastern European artist that does these really delicate, very dark paintings. And it's a totally different way of doing things than I do them. And I really wanted to give it a shot. And so far I'm really liking the effect. It's more work, but the payoff, it has payoff. It does, looks good. All right, so see how it's not shifting much, but it's enough to really refine, especially at a distance, those values. So they're all pulled together. That's a shadow pool, a value key. All right, so let's make a new layer. I'm going to real quick, just with opaques, clean up the face because it is still a little bit rough. And I'm gonna do these teeth. Cool thing is I can just do a lot of indication. You don't need to get too detailed with it. A lot's being done for me with the with that really deep shadow in there. Oh my God, Art of Lee just rated us. Welcome all. Glad you could join us. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Oh my God. You all are so sweet. Thanks for hanging and visiting. We're painting an alien monster. From Mars. We're doing a creature design based on a pinball game that I'm quite fond of. I don't know if y'all play pinball, but it's the bomb. Whoa, got some follows. Flash27, thank you. Siukar, thank you so much for the follow. So glad you guys could join us. How fun. Did Art of Lee just finish up? I gotta stop in and say hi. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Oh, thanks, Lee. I appreciate it. Yeah, I wanted to really change the silhouette. Actually, let me pull up so you guys can see the game I love. This is Attack from Mars, the pinball game, and these are the sort of quad-armed aliens, and they have these little animated puppet things in the game, and they're super annoying. They jiggle like crazy, but I wanted to do kind of a more horror-y design. So this is my version. We talked about how maybe it was a captured alien that's been genetically modified by the humans. So it's a turncoat alien. Autumn, thank you so much for setting that up. I appreciate that. That's so nice of you, man. How are you all doing tonight? I hope you all had a pretty great Halloween. As best as you can, considering things as kooky as they are right now. Oh, noises. Thank you so much for those bits. That's lovely. Orestes, thank you so much for the follow. Glad you could join. I'm going to leave a lot of the little sort of line artifacts that are in there, because what's going to happen is when I get to the fill light stage, it's just going to be little speculars that I'm hinting at, and the speculars are going to stand out. Those little, and all of those artifacts will fall away and become more just visual noise, which will be cool. It's just minimizing the amount of work that I have to do at this stage. You know what I mean? My driving force in all things, as we all know, is my laziness. So I got to do it the laziest way possible. I'm going to fill out this little bottom sucker jaw thing he's got a little bit. And, you know, I want to get more of this silhouette of the teeths. These little pokey teethies. So I'm actually going to carve in there just a little bit. And this isn't, it's not logical. The loop of the mouth should probably be visible on the other side, but I think it's more important to see those teeth, and sometimes that's okay. Narrative should, it can, narrative can trump your logic, especially when it comes to the silhouette. For examples of this in industry, see Stewie Griffin. We're all on our bestest behavior. Oh, there's no bestest behavior requirement here, Siakar. We're monsters in this channel. Awesome. Thank you, Autumn. Are you heading out? Oh, yeah. Old school buds. Work Izzy Smart. Oh, filthy practitioner of the lazy. Well, welcome, brother of the laziness. That is awesome. I love it. Someday we will rule the world, but it can wait until tomorrow. Hinting at little bits of texture. Again, these are all just little noisy bits that I'm going to be able to pick up with and play against when I add the fill light. So I've been talking about the fill light for a while. Let's just go ahead and add the damn thing, right? I mean, geez, all foreplay around here. Just tease, tease, tease. Okay, let's grab that color. This is how I would do it traditionally, right? We'd paint. That's the local value here. See how dark that is out in the side? But it doesn't look that dark relatively here. But when you paint it in there, it's too light. See? Simultaneous contrast, my friends. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. I love it. It just makes me so happy. Scatterbrain, thank you so much for the follow. You'll stay and listen to the dulcet tones of Iz. Oh, well, you are welcome, sir. I'm glad you could join. Thank you again for setting it up. Awful nice of you. No rush in ruling the world from a fellow lazy. Yeah, we're fine. We'll get there eventually. Romantic. So that's how I'm going to get my fill light. I'm going to use that as my fill. And by mixing those two colors and picking something that's slightly lighter, look at that. So that is too light. What I've just painted is too light for that value key that I'm in. So it's okay. We'll just knock it back a little bit. And we'll use something like this instead. You see how much darker that is. And now, because this is a fill light, we're going to be using it to define the top side of these surfaces that are getting hit by that fill light. When these surfaces that are pointing up towards my fill light, which is sort of kind of a simple skylight, maybe a moonlight, when it's further away from the dome of the cranium up here, not cranium, the cerebrum, you're gonna see more of that fill light. But I'm cheating a little bit. This is just so that we can see the forms, which is fun, you know? It's all about cheating. Gypsy Queen 44, thank you so much for the follow. I'm glad you could join. So there we go. See how just adding a little bit of fill light kind of starts to give us a rounded out form. In reality, light doesn't operate in a vacuum. Even though we start out our paintings that way, it doesn't really operate that way. And how you're really going to get that juicy, realistic feeling in your paintings is by introducing at least a second light source. I recommend a minimum of 3. And they can be anything. They can be your primary light source, like I have above, and a fill light like this, and then we can add a bounced light as a secondary reflective light, which I'll probably do off of the lit legs onto the bottom of the arms and things like that, or maybe even up. I can use the ground plane color up at the bottom of the cerebellum and do some nice reflective colors. By adding all of that light around the figure, you're going to create three-dimensionality. It just happens on its own. It's awesome. You should check out Art of Lee. He's as entertaining as he is talented artistically. Agreed. I have just set up a follow, I think. I'm, again, terrible at this. I'm going to try it again. And you all should definitely follow, too. I think I did. I don't know. I'm bad at this. I will check in later. Thank you again, Autumn. That rim light, that's the rim lights. You're going to head off for now. See a car. You need to be in work in about 6 hours. Hoi! Ugh. Well, get some rest. Thank you for joining us for a little bit. Technically, light does operate in a vacuum. Yes, light does operate in a vacuum, but what I'm talking about is lighting a representative painting like this. This light doesn't ideally exist in a vacuum. But if you want to know what that looks like, check out that first video on YouTube. And you can see light in a vacuum. I'm going to leave this palette up here because I'm going to come back and color pick from that to do accent values in our light side of the shadows. Let's go ahead and throw in some in here. I'm also gonna need to render. I'm gonna need to do more than just lighting on this lower arm because I didn't do enough darks I'm seeing now. Sugar is fine. Yeah, I know. In Spanish, it's azúcar, right? Is azúcar is that Portuguese? I only know the Spanish one, azúcar. Sugar, thank you for joining us. I'm just giving them little riblets here. There's not really any logic to this. I'm just filling the space up with some noise. Açúcar is Portuguese too. Wow. It's Gaelic, supposed to be. Oh shit, no kidding. Oh, interesting. I wonder if that's the origin, or maybe they share origins. That's one of those ones. Like the Gaelic, that's the Latin way. Or the Gaelic way to say the Latin word. Etymology is awesome. I am a big fan of etymology. Also entomology. I'm just whipping in some more darks to contrast on his rib cage here. Thanks for the follow, Lee. I appreciate it. Oh, he was wondering if he was Irish, yeah. Well, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, Sugar. But that as well to you. Good night. You followed me on the Insta? Oh, thanks, Lee. I appreciate it. The only Gaelic I know is slancha, which I think is probably the most important. What can I say? I like my booze. Let's see. Let's get a little of this dark up in here. What are we doing on time? I haven't even looked in a while. I said I did have a early stop time tonight, so. Tao Mike, thank you for the follow. Welcome. Glad you could follow. Oh, we're doing okay. We're fine. Slanchava is a good phrase to know. Yeah. I don't. Did I say that one right? Or is it a different version of the same word? Alien monsters. How do you say cheers in this guy's language? What do you guys think? Yeah, that's the, like I said, that's the only Gaelic I know is Slanchaba. Thanks, Tal Mike. I'm so glad you joined us. Some German. Oh, let's see. What German do I know? Oh, I just butcher it. I mean, beyond the obvious ones. I'm totally spacing on my German right now. I'm just trying to think of something that's not the easy ones. You know, like Schadenfreude. Einstürzende Neubauten. Oh, my industrial fan friends are just gonna beat the crap out of me later for that one. Forgive me. I am terrible. No one ever gets the ba right? Yeah. Well, it's because, I mean, Gaelic doesn't have, it's not phonetic in the Latin sense at all. But I only know it from, I don't know it from reading it. So I know when I'm looking at Gaelic, but I can't actually read the phonetic pronunciations according to its alphabet. Vorsprung durch Technik. I can't. Nope. Yeah, MH is the V or W. That's pretty cool. That's so cool. Languages are awesome, guys. Everybody should learn some more languages. I think the world would just be a better place. I think the big one, I've talked about this in the stream before, but the big one is just when you struggle to learn a new language, your sympathy for someone trying to speak yours just skyrockets. Like, I understand how difficult it is now to try and use somebody else's language. Even in a case where like English is one of those really common ones that's everywhere, that's still kind of amazing when somebody can speak English as a second language so well. You've got my respect. Och. This, of course, is all wrong, and I'm going to just go ahead and add the cast shadow from the upper arm. Just kind of ease that transition a little bit better. You're trying to learn Russian right now, Diao? Whew. Good luck, my friend. That's going to be a tough one. Well, I've heard, once you can separate the written language from the spoken language, it's different. What? Oh, that is Lee. It showed your raid twice. Interesting. Awesome. I'll take it because it makes me look super popular. I like to look super popular. Not though. Really not. I am a wallflower, guys. Yeah, see that? Like, let's turn that off and turn it on. See how much more refined the shadow side gets just by adding a little bit of light in the shadow? It's the gift that keeps on giving. Love it. Let's work on that and do a nice little ambient occlusion there. What did I miss? I missed some stuff. Both my Irish and German pronunciations are pretty good. I don't know about that. I try. I do better when I'm listening to people. I'm one of those people, and it's so embarrassing, but it's totally true. I'm one of those people that when I'm hanging out with somebody and they have a really thick accent, I slowly start speaking in the accent. It's like a terrible version of it. Thug can attest to this. My English is awful. But yeah, it just happens. It's not even like purposeful. It's one of those like sympathetic things, I guess. I don't know. But at least I think my English accents, when I'm slipping into them, are not nearly as bad as like some of those just awful Cockney ones that I've heard. Those could be just, I mean, it's all cringe. It's all cringe. I understand. But I hope mine's just a little bit less. The nuance in English is very hard to learn. You really have to live it. Yeah. Sugar, you learned English from 4? Hot damn. Hauli oe o izi mahalo keia hui ana. I don't know that one. I know a couple of those words. Uh-oh. Did I spring up a previous discussion? Cypher, you do this too? You do the sympathetic accent? Oh man, it's rough, and it's so. I've been called out on it. Like they're like, "What are you doing? Why are you mimicking me?" And I'm like, "No, I'm really not. I'm not trying to be rude. I really mean no ill intent. It's just it happens. I can't even control it. I have to actively try not to do it, and I really can't explain why it happens, but it totally does." It's like a really bad impression. It's borderline racist. Well, I can get away with that, you see? Throws brown card. Take that. Defaults to Cockney or Scottish. That's true. You know what's really tough is Irish. Like getting a decent Irish is not easy. Don't out him. Don't feel so bad about it. It happens to you too, Tao. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. Sometimes what I have noticed is the vast majority of the time, people don't notice when you're doing it. They just talk normally, and they kind of think that, like nothing sounds out of place to them because you sound like them when you're doing it most of the time. But I've definitely been called out for doing it. So instant social anxiety crash. It's terrible. You had English in your finals as an A-level class, so you can get around pretty well. And you also think in English and not in German. No kidding. Wow. I did start to get to the point when I was living in Mexico where I would occasionally think in Spanish, and I was always mystified when it would happen. But how cool is that? It's kind of amazing. I've heard that learning the third language is easier, so we'll see. Depending on where I end up next, provincial France or something like that. I'll need to learn some French to get around. Buy some baguettes. Ride my bicycle down the cobblestone street. You know, romantic bullshit like that. Oh, I'm used to being bullied. I got thug here. Yeah, thug's a Whitechapel boy. Avid, yours gets bad when you're around the country family. Oh my god. Yeah, one of my adoptee people, she's from Minnesota, and when she's on the phone with her Minnesotan family, it's so funny. Her accent comes back in full force. I love it. Gives me the giggles. Doesn't even notice it. Because this fill light is not, I'm not using a kind of a specific directional fill light. This is like a skylight in that it's kind of bounced around everywhere. I'm just kind of choosing to do topside surfaces all the way around this thing. I'm not really focusing on one side or another. It's just a general fill, a skylight. Excuse me. My goodness. It's all this coffee and soda I drink, guys. Sorry. It's a calming thing. You're doing it so they connect with you. You want them to feel like part of the tribe. Maybe. I don't know. It's not an intentional thing at all. I can tell you that. It just happens. And then once I realize I'm doing it, I kick myself. Got in the middle of nowhere there. Yeah. Born on a tiny island in the Hebrides? I don't know those islands. Thinking 5 different languages based on your mood? Damn, lazy. Show off. Daniel, and you are already planning your move to France, actually? Really, Autumn? Keep me posted on that, because that sounds amazing. If not France, maybe like, I think northwestern Spain, outside of Santander would be amazing. I've been out there. It's so beautiful. Yeah, Spain or France would be so great. You know, plan that escape, buddy. Cypher sold. You don't live there now, thank God. Oh, you're in Glasgow. I have not been to Scotland. I would love to go to Scotland. That is such on my list. But I know one of the reasons I've avoided Scotland so far is because of my accent problem. And I know I would just get bottled there for it. Oh, I have such a problem. Oh, I thought it was Greek. Sorry. Hebrides. Greek or Latin, maybe. Hebrides. Is that so? That's outside Scotland. That's where you're gonna get your Isles. A lot of the streamers Thug watches are in Glasgow or Scotland at large. Really? Is it just like the accents gives you the giggles because you're a filthy Englishman? Filthy Englishman. You know what you did. You've hardly found any Glasgow streamers. Really? Hebrides. Is that better? Tell me where the accent is. I know there's at least one. Is it on the first, the second, or the third syllable there? And then I'll get it. Roscoe and 1030JH are both in Glasgow. That's awesome. It's in Scotland. Okay. Huh. Sweet. Yep, Scottish Islands sound amazing to me too. I mean, I know that I would be the first sacrifice to the Wicker Man or whatever goes on out there, but it would be fun. It'd be worth it. No, all the Scottish folks I've ever met have been so cool. I would very much like to visit. Just a little bit of topside. We're going to do just a touch of hills and valleys here. We're going to do some valleys just to kind of add some visual interest. We don't need to do too much, just a couple of dots. This is kind of to add to that slimy feel that we're really going to get with the cerebrum up there and the cerebellum. Because we haven't even started yet on the specular pass for that, which is going to be juicy AF. as the childrens are saying. That's right, I'm old. I accept that. I know. Don't judge me. I judge myself. I think because this fill light is meant to be a little bit softer, I'm going to go ahead and bring it back a little bit on the top of this secondary deltoid here. And I'm going to have to lighten the pressure a little bit because I'm getting a little bit bright with this. A little too much for the area. Just ease it up just a touch. Just a little touchy touch. You know. It's part of Scotland. The Hebrides Islands are northwest. That last attempt was good. It's pretty grim in the winter. I can imagine. That's quite north. Lovely chaotic lot. I'm in. Just sign me up for that. Give me a big sweater and an ivy cap. I'll head down to the pub. It's horrible all year round. A weekend somewhere. That doesn't sound too dissimilar from Oregon, my friends. Oh, it's already getting gray here for us. Yeah, I had to. It's the first thing I bought when I moved back to Oregon was a giant coat, a big great coat with a hood, because I am now a Chihuahua, a shivering Chihuahua. Living in the tropics has ruined me. I used to run around in this area in shorts, man. Not anymore. It's kind of sad. That blue fill. Oops. Oops. Get our blue fill back. I like these little kind of sloppy brushstrokes back up there where the reds and the magentas, that dark magenta are. Just leaving that there and letting it kind of live is going to create some visual interest and color vibration for the viewer's eye. So I'm not going to go in and try and clean that up too much. I'm going to let the oranges and reds and magentas kind of hang out, and I will only get rid of them if they're too distracting for an area. I want them to be there just to kind of just create a little spice. It's like seasoning, you know? It's a little bit of paprika on our painting there. Just a little touch. Some eye paprika. Definitely put paprika in your eye. That would be very painful. Don't do that. It would be very funny, though. So if you do it, send us the video so we can laugh at you. Little bit of light. Might have overdone it a little bit there. Yeah. Just a touch to get that twist of his little ulna and radius. Will Slinny is in Cork, Ireland. Ah. I totally butchered his name too, I know. A knit sweater and a what now? Oh, a scotch, of course. I didn't need a coat in Mexico? No, I didn't need a coat. Well, where I was in Mexico, I didn't need a coat. I had permanent tank tops and swim trunks, man. Pretty much year round. Those are two of the three essentials, or four essentials, I guess, for wandering around tropical Mexico. The other thing that you need are sandals, huaraches, and a beer koozie. And then you'll be fine. Then you're ready to get on a boat and go and live in Mexico with Izzy. You love how the Romans conquered Europe and Britain, got to Scotland and went, nah, we're good. Built a wall to keep them in. Yeah. History is fun. We've had our fill. Yeah, look at that. That's so much more information going on. And we totally didn't break our value key. That's awesome. Good times. You're a bit feral back then. I've heard some stories. If history and transpotting has taught us anything, it's don't mess with the Scottish. Yeah. Begsby. He's the one. That's a fucking dancer. Everybody wants a glass mug to the noggin. Paprika, why would you do that? Because a random dude on the internet told me to. Isn't that how the whole cinnamon challenge started? I think that is. I'm confident. So here, I'm just going to add just a touch of kind of a Fresnel effect, just so that I can see the top end of that arm. The values of the lit shadow and that background value are just close enough that it would make it a little bit harder to see. So just a tiny ribbon of light is going to help me cheat my way out of that. Again, we can artfully cheat so long as there's a reason for it. That's what we call narrative painting. Or narrative lighting. I'll do it there too. Just a little bit. Just a dash. Okay. Let's get back to our fill light. I think we can do a little bit on the face. So you remember these little wrinkles I added now? Instead of going in and really filling in the plane with the new value, all I want to do is kind of hint at the light on top and just let that visual noise underneath it, all those little strokes that existed already, I'm just gonna let them sit there. And by adding the light on top, it's describing the form, it's describing the detail, but those little scribbles of visual noise make a nice little vibration for your eye. They're little eye vibrators. They don't want glass smashed in their noggin. Come to Scotland, get glass smashed into your face. That's awesome. Inks in, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome. I'm glad you could join us. That's awesome. That's what we call the post-rationalization. I think so. After the scars begin to heal. So we want to follow our cake theory a little bit and make sure that we're not making the same strokes, the same shapes right next to each other endlessly, because it will become boring visually. And all that work you did, all that painting and rendering and love you put into it, well, it's for nothing then. No, I'm kidding. But it does help if you are thoughtful ahead of time about how you distribute your shapes in a designerly fashion to help promote visual harmony and interest. A lot of painting is just forethought, making the mistakes ahead of time, and knowing what to avoid. This is true of a lot of stuff. Like heroin use. Wait. Batteries still included. 100% Autumn. Here, because this is a whole new feature I'm adding in, this lip here, I'm going to use just this light to describe it rather than going back and forth too much. Yep. Done it again. I'm definitely zooming in too much for my liking. So we're gonna stop doing that right about now. Right about now. Yeah. Give us a kiss. Mm. Mm. I'm not interested in applying heat necessarily, but certainly brightness. Like a certain level of, I don't know, intensity of red. So it's emissive, but not so emissive that it's really kind of touching into the forebrain up here too much. We're going to do a little bit, but not too much. Just a touch, just a dash. I figured I would use it as our eyebrows, like kind of to show he's not a happy fella. He might have some issues. Might need a little bit of help there. More than enough. Okie dokie, what's next? Let's do a little bit more fill light. On the shadow side, I want to try and make sure I'm still just hitting the upper. Nope, these values are too dark to be visible on the light side there. So we're okay. We forgot his super important neck pouch. That is unacceptable. Well, well, well. Spanking for this guy. What a nice wet licorice kiss. Yeah. Give us a kiss, sunshine. Throat sack complete. Just wanting to hint at a little bit of busy sections. You want to, when you're doing your textures, you want places that can breathe, you know, little moments of quiet where there's not a bunch of stuff going on. And then sometimes you want just a lot of little niggly details to kind of accentuate things. It's a visual variety. Again, it's just a harmony game, just for fun. Shites and giggles. You were heading off a half hour ago, Sugar. You were. What happened? All right, take it easy. Good night. Thank you for hanging. Alex Judge, thank you for the follow. Welcome. Glad you could join us. Oop, oop, oop. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. We done a bad. Yeah, that neck looks real nasty. And I think that's a good transitional point. Let's do... I think it's transitions between big texture changes are important. How sharp and how soft that transition, the gamut of that transition goes, can help describe the form of your character, or kind of... It can even help with the concept of the character a little bit. So if you're doing a creature or something that is mixing a variety of unusual textures or features... One of the most important aspects isn't those features it's themselves. It is the transition between them that will make it feel more natural, or not purposefully. But you should have control over that. So I want to kind of create a transition between the neck into the body, which is a little bit more insectoid, a little bit more plain and simple. So that means just a little bit of increased texture as that transition happens from something that's really busy. So we are going to have a busy spot up here, and then in the shadows, as the shadow starts, it's going to smooth out a little bit. It's going to smooth a lot down here in the cerebellum. Then it's going to get busy again, and then it's going to smooth out. And this stuff down here doesn't matter as much, so I'm not going to draw a whole lot of attention to it in general because it's not my focal point. But we're going to notice something right here. So I had the light side, or not the light side, sorry, the spotlight from above coming from above down onto these pant legs. And so the pant legs are lit. And I'm using this fill light here, which is at its brightest right there. But we're going to notice that because I was thinking about the bleed of that light bouncing around in here, we're going to find that this value is probably too close. Yeah, we're barely going to be able to use it. So up here close to where it's actually light, it looks too dark. So the simultaneous contrast can work against you too. Your instinct may be to go brighter, but that's not the goal here because the fill light can only go so bright. You don't want any section to be brighter. It all has to work together. So this Tum Tum is going to get his little Mewtwo Tum Tum. Gonna get a little bit of light. And just so long as that light can be lighter than the values that I'm painting on top of it, I'll use it, because it's a fill. So here, no problem. See? It's working in our favor. Kookaburra, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome. I'm glad you could join us too. You've been trying to get into painting in Photoshop. Do I have any tips for someone just starting? Honestly, the biggest thing with any kind of painting is to first learn the fundamentals of how light works. So it doesn't matter what medium you're using, just so long as you are practicing how to render form and light. You can find my first lesson free on YouTube. It's three tips or three Oh no, it's 3 rules for better painting. That's the one. And that's going to give you the absolute base fundamentals for how to render light, and it'll work for anything. So don't worry too much about Photoshop as a medium yet. Certainly you can use it to learn this stuff, but focus more on understanding how light behaves and how it works with form in 3 dimensions, because that's really the challenge that you're facing. Beyond that, since you're starting out now, teach yourself. Go online, find the keyboard shortcuts and all that good stuff right now, and start implementing them. It's gonna feel like extra work, but if you ingrain that stuff into your head now and build up a pattern and a habit of how you're going to be using this tool, it will help you in the long run. One of the biggest things that I used to unlock my speed with painting and my comfort with the application was to finally, after decades, learn the damn shortcuts, because they are everything. And I've found the best way to kind of approach it is to think of it like a video game. Just like you would map buttons in your head when you learn a new video game, you're going to do the same thing with your keyboard. It seems weird at first, but it will work, I can promise you. Kookaburra, thank you. Appreciate that. You totally get that. You're just trying to go from real life medium to computer medium. Oh, okay, great. Yeah, so then I would say focus on the shortcuts. Make sure you have the tools you need, like a stylus. You need a stylus with a tablet. Don't try and paint with a mouse. It's very difficult. It's doable, but difficult. Using a slate is going to be much more fun, and it'll feel a little bit more natural for somebody that already comes from traditional painting. I did the same thing. I went digital after traditional. Any tips to drawing things like hair and grass? Do you have any specific questions, Kookaburra? I do have several materials-specific lessons on Gumroad to painting those materials, but I mean it's a lot more than tips. It's a whole philosophy of how to approach your materials. I think if you're looking for something that's going to be a good base to start with, it should be you need to analyze the behaviors of the materials and understand the commonality and how the different materials reinforce or break the essential rules of light that I teach in that free lesson on YouTube. That's the big game right there, is just how do they adhere and how do they break the rules of light as you know them so far. We need to imply a little bit more. I'm going to just lighten up this side just to imply some more of that detail that I've got in the pants so that these look like pants back here too. I'm going to do the same thing, just kind of imply a little seam. So there's some three-dimensionality here that's kind of confusing, right? So if these are forward legs and this is kind of his rump, this looks like it should be 4 legs the way I have it right now, but I wanted it to be 3. So that's happening for a couple of reasons. One, how I've painted the connection right here where the rump starts, and also where that back foot is falling. So I think what we're going to need to do is augment this a little bit. So don't be too precious about your work. We know I like to say that. Let's do a copy paste. And this is going to go above Megamind 2, Legend of Mia something or other. And we're going to move that layer. And just erasing out the parts that are conflicting with the underlying values too much. And the rest I'm just gonna have to paint in and make it work. The idea is you want to soften the seams enough, but you don't need to do a full paint over or anything of it. Just a little bit will take you a long way. Wow, I don't know what's going on with my notifications here. I don't know why it does multiples. It's a bit weird. I'm going to go ahead and imply a Fresnel here, just so that we can separate this back end a little bit. Now, what else do we need? I really don't like this this tangency I've created with the elbow. I got to decide either I'm going to drop it down, can transform it. Let's do a warp. Let's see if we can just change that top angle just a touch. There we go. That separates things. Let's get a little bit darker on our elbow. Gotta avoid tangencies as much as possible. There might still be too much of one there. We'll play with that in a bit and see how we're looking. It can look, do like Daniel and remap WASD for his brushes and most used tools. Huh, that's a way to do it. It's certainly a functional method. You bought yourself one of them. Oh, nice. I've been trying to figure out oil painting and acrylic, but I've not had much luck. Ah, that's tough. Oil, when you're struggling with traditional media, you're handling multiple battles at the same time. I think sometimes learning digitally is easier because you can separate the different elements a little bit better. But that said, in the long run, I have found that the learning that you get by doing it traditionally will probably cement better, and you're going to be challenged with bigger stuff, like having to mix color alone. Just having to mix color is going to help your color theory at levels that you can't even imagine right now. And that's what really unlocked it for me, was because I had taken color theory, but once I started really having to paint and mix and understand color and what mixing does to it and how to mimic light and simultaneous contrast most of all, total game changer for me. McMeester, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome. I'm so glad you could join us. Autumn. Oil and acrylic are very different in approach. Acrylics can be painted over fairly quickly and dry fast. Yep. So the approach is more about mixing color correctly and laying it down quick. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Looks like Autumn's got you. Do we know of any good art communities to post and work and ask for critique? Autumn has a great community, and I have a community on Discord. You should probably join both. Mine is below on the About page. There's a Discord link that you can join that's a public crits, and just it's a cool community sharing art stuff. And Autumn has a more expansive one, so you should definitely add that one too. And go on, say hi, get involved, and you will get lots of help. There's some really good people on those. Core Flora, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome. Glad you could join. You have done oil paint in real life once, so it'll be a curve for you to go to PS. You're going to do it a few times, that's for sure. Same for digital, but I can tell you digital is way easier to clean up. Autumn, I'm sorry. Autumn is Art Turkel in our group right here. I don't know what color he's got for you. I think it's the red on the screen. You can't find your link. It's on his link tree. He's just posted it. So art is Autumn. We went to college together way back in the day, some 20 plus years ago. I don't know. I'm bad at math. It's a thing. All right. So we moved that leg. It looks a little bit more like a tripod now. Let's do a little bit of anatomy to the butt. So he's got a little rumpies. Little rumpy rumps. Mm-hmm. Okay. Sorry, Autumn. I gave your name. I don't know if that's something you were public about at all. My bad. It's all good. You're on Sketching with Izzy, where I dox people. It's my way. I appreciate the forgiveness. Let's do a little kind of body rump action back here. And we can do the same thing using our new fill light that we've just been adding. So I want to add that top fill light right there, but in order to really sell the bum idea we've got going on here, we need to allow that form to roll back where the perpendicularity changes to a parallel to our light source. Just a touch. I'm going to even kind of join these values a little bit. Scribble it in, blend, lazy. Okay, it's coming along rather lovely. Oh, we're getting to some of my favorite parts. You know what my favorites are? Speculars. Speculars are my jam. It's what I do. Shiny, gross stuff. It's kind of my MO, guys. I'm telling you. All right. Ooh. Let's do it in the shadow first, since we're already here. I'm just gonna bump up my value just a little bit. Just a little skosh. It's a skosh. I'm gonna apply some fun little speculars in little places. I'm not gonna do it everywhere. This is the danger with speculars, is your noob specular artist will overdo it. We're gonna overdo it, but we're not gonna overdo it. So we're only half noobing. We're demi noobs. Speculars are candy, indeed, and that's why I save them for last, because they are the dessert. They are the flavor of my dreams. So just around my focal point, that's where I'm putting in this extra visual information, the extra levels of our spectrum. Ooh, so juicy. Ah, I am excited. It's just so greasy, guys. Ooh, that's lovely. All right, that's a good start. Okay, just a little greasy, not too much. Gotta take it easy here. Getting a little bit out of hand. Okay, now's the big juice. We're coming back to our brain meats. God be with us indeed. All right, so I'm going to do a couple of things. First, I'm going to note I got rid of my light source, but I know that it's coming from directly above. So in order to get the maximum out of speculars that I can get, I'm going to first do the opposite of what you'd expect, which is we're going to darken it. What this does is it allows us to have room to push the specular. And speculars usually happen on an object that's highly, highly reflective. So what you're seeing, what a specular really is a reflection of the light source itself. And usually the area around the light source will look darker because the light source is so bright. But we can only go so light and so dark with our paintings. So one of the ways that we can kind of punch that up a little bit is to fake it. And so we're going to darken a little bit so that our speculars have even brighter to go. Do you think being able to make highly polished renders is important to get a concept artist job at the beginning? No, I don't think that. I think having painting skills is definitely important. But really, just the fundamentals will get you quite far. Let's warm it up. He's supposed to be green, actually. Oh, you know what? By warming it up, the rest of him will look more green. So let's lean into it. Warm up this noggin meat. So, counterintuitively, I'm actually darkening the bit where I want this sheath of sort of thin, transparent material on top. I'm darkening the top bits so that I can have that specular really pop over it. Oops. Yeah, that's the juice. All right, let's do a new layer. Here we go, gang. It's happening. Our lightest light is just above 50%. Yeah, I can't seem to get any lighter than that. I'd say that's about 62. Let's try a 78, 79, somewhere in there. Now, our light source is from above. Boom. So it's going to hit the top, wherever it hits, that's going to point towards the light source. That's the normal of the light source. Your specular lives between the normal of your light source and the normal of your viewer's eye. So it's actually here is where speculars live. So knowing that, we know that our speculars will be... what I like to do is kind of think first of the big one. That primary, I don't know, rhythm of the shape. And then we can kind of adhere, have little bubbles where the meat underneath kind of comes forward a little bit more. Maybe here at bellies just a touch. The important thing with your speculars is just remembering that if it's a light source, rather it's a reflection of the light source, then it needs to be sharp. One of the reasons I like this on a different layer is we can move it around. We can see what feels better. Transform. Because sometimes it's hard to map out a specular just in your head. Sometimes you don't have the form totally figured out. And I can tell you, this brain meat, this sausage I've created, I really don't know exactly what the shape was I was after. Because I've been painting it, you know, over several days. At least that's my excuse. Shh. It's okay for this to be a little bit lost and found, because again, we're figuring out the mapping as we go. You can't take all this brain meat in one sitting. You probably shouldn't. That's how you get gout. It's all that offal. Okay, so that's the outer specular for now. We'll leave it for the moment. And let's do some inner speculars on the brain meats themselves. So we're not painting the sac anymore right now. Because the brain meats on the inside are much more undulated folds and forms, they're going to show more speculars. This sac on the top part is smooth and stretched tight over the brain meat, so you can't see, you're not going to see all of the little tiny textures. You'll see a little hints of them, but it's like, you know, it's like putting a plastic bag over somebody's face, right? Don't do that. But it would smooth out the features. You're not going to see indents of eyelids. You're not going to see nostrils. It's just kind of a more mannequin type structure. And that's what's happening when you put a sac over something, or when you smooth something out. Like if, let's say, the person had honey dumped on their head, their faces would be simplified like that as well. Slightly less macabre. Honey, unless, you know, you push them into an anthill. I think we might change the color of this a little bit so that it's not so obviously the same. Let's do something a little bit pinker. Yeah. And I'm using the bits that I've painted on the top surface to be my map for where we're going to see the speculars on the underlying brain meats. Oh, Autumn. If it weren't for you, I'd have no clips at all. You can't record the terrible and filthy things I say. That can be used as evidence in a court of law. I don't want that. I think this top layer is going to have to go even brighter. Let's do a levels. Let's punch the brightness even further. We're back on the top layer. I think would be the best way to do this. We're implying a Fresnel here, which happens on either really shiny or really fluffy surfaces, where light is picked up that is not it's usually behind the object, so it's a reflection of the sky. I'm gonna have to go in and tighten up some of this brain a little bit. This will help sell the idea of the membrane. We can even grab our friend a little. We can just paint it in. Fill light is one of the things that can really help out a reflective surface and make it feel reflective, because you're not the fill, I'm sorry, skylight. Because if you're reflecting the light source itself, you better believe you're reflecting everything in the shot, everything. So we could even go down here to the bottom, and you know we're gonna have to have reflective light, because this is a very shiny substance. We're gonna have to have reflective light off of the floor. We'll go ahead and pump that up just a little bit. Yep. Not what I intended to do. Let's use a different brush, because this one's a little too textury. We can do kind of a quick see how it starts to round it out. Of course, we need hills and valleys, but now our light source is below. So the valleys are different, the normals are different for this new light source. We'll throw in a little rim light just for some cheap love. Come on. Come on, how about that? Jack. What are we doing for time? Ooh, 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 ooh. I overdid it. I lost track of time again. Oh my goodness, gang. What would I do? Well, I'd always be late. That's really what would happen. And that's kind of what happens anyway. McMeester followed again. All right, gang. We're going to leave it here for now. Right at the apex, right at the orgasm of painting, in which we do our Speculars, which is my favorite thing ever. We'll come back and we'll finish it up tomorrow. Today is Monday, right? I don't know what day it is. Yeah, today's Monday. So we'll be back on tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we'll finish this guy up. I think we'll have a full session for that day, so it'll probably be another half hour longer than we went today. So yeah, hopefully you all enjoyed yourselves, had a good time. Avid, Autumn, thank you all for coming and hanging out. It's always good to chat. Let's see, anything else I had to cover? Oh, if you are currently supporting the Patreon at any level above tip jar tier, make sure to change your support level back to tip jar for now, because there is not going to be an episode reward next month. I don't know how many people are actually patrons on here right now, but that's just another reminder. I didn't want to have to do a whole bunch of refunds, but I probably will anyway. Such is life. Anyway, thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed yourselves, learned a little bit, and as always, paint smart, paint sexy.
I'm Izzy, a professional writer, concept artist, and illustrator. I've taught painting for a dozen years or so, on and offline. Many of your favorite illustrators and designers have studied with me or under me, and have gone on to teach in their own right. You're here because, like they did, you want to learn to paint realistically for illustration or concept art. Well, worry not. You're in the right place. Grab a seat. I want you to join me as I explain all the aspects of image making in extremely digestible and clear monthly lessons. Not through the lens of silly how to paint hair or eye demos. That shit is carnival tricks. And you're not really learning anything except an exact way to render one thing in one manner. This is painting mysticism at its worst. Watching these kinds of exploitative lessons won't help you level up with your understanding. Sure, now you can paint sparkly hair, but what if you want to paint a dragon, or figure out how to render a sea of fire, or depict a one-eyed transgender space marine dying in the vacuum of space? Painting and image making are tools of communication, and can be learned by anyone willing to put in some time. Like grammar is for language, light, color, and form literally follow a formula. Painting well is not a matter of chicken bones, zombie crackers, and the ever-dismissive concept of talent. Learning with my series, Izzy's Logic of Light and Color, will give you the tools and understanding so you can analyze light and form in reality and bring it to life in your work. Using this simple system I have distilled will help you harness your art to share your ideas as you've always intended. When we are children, we all draw in symbols. Symbols for our house, our hands, the sun, the grass, our pet lobster. As we grow into artists, we must learn to throw away symbols and begin to draw and paint what it is we actually see. And as we grow further, we learn to paint beyond what we see and what is actually there. Until finally we move beyond this and learn to trim away what is actually there so we voice only what we want. With me, you're going to have to buckle in and maybe take some pain meds, because I'm going to rip out your normal person's eyes and replace them with a painter's eyes. I'm going to restructure how you see and how you understand what you're seeing. I'm going to turn you into a painting machine. Truly, anyone can learn to paint realistically if they can both determine what they're seeing or imagining with basic and straightforward rules. Once you understand the mechanics of light, color, and form in reality, you will have the capacity to paint anything you can see or imagine realistically. After that, the real fun begins. Here are some of the ways you can join me and master the logic of light and color. The very first lesson of my series is totally free on my YouTube channel. In that lesson, I give you the 3 primary rules of light that are the very foundation of painting and understanding light itself. If you do nothing else to make your painting mastery easier, at least watch this amazing little lesson. It will do more for your basic understanding of light than just about any tutorial you can find. When you're ready to get deeper and you feel like you have those first rules figured out, allow me to utterly blow your mind with the next episodes available on Gumroad and ArtStation. As we go deeper into the rules underlying the logic of light and color, I carefully and simply explain important and interesting elements. From beginner to pro, there is an amazing amount of information available. Each concept has been distilled into the clearest explanation you're likely to find anywhere. Like episode 2, where we cover the atmospheric effect and how that relates to light, scale, and distance of objects in reality, and how to render it. Or episode 3, where I hand over the ultimate key to controlling value in your paintings. Episodes 5 through 8 are all about rendering materials. Want to understand the logic behind rendering metal, leather, hair, transparency, damn near anything. I even cover the logic behind painting special effects like fire, neon, or lightsabers in later episodes. The lessons just get deeper and more detailed as I build on the foundations covered in preceding episodes. The 10th gives you the most important rule of composition you'll ever learn to keep your images interesting. The next few episodes cover important painting techniques like my edge control ninjutsu or simplification with the large to small system. We dip a toe in color theory, devote a few episodes to finishing full-blown illustrations utilizing the techniques we've learned so far. Some episodes, like the lighting game or Advanced Exercises 1, the shirt, present cheap, valuable, and practical exercises to give you explosive growth in your development. Episodes 22 through 25 cover painting and illustration just like I do for Magic the Gathering, from assignment and inception to signing the painting at the end. Each one is full of tips, knowledge, everything to make working as an illustrator easier. Did you enjoy learning how to paint basic materials? Metal, wood, and such? I got 3 whole episodes devoted to the intricate logic behind painting different kinds of skin. After that, more lessons devoted to pumping life into your portraits and original methods for accurately drawing faces out of your head. From fundamentals to photo bashing, Gumroad and ArtStation have every lesson I create available for purchase a la carte. But here's an even better way to learn with me. Stay current with my latest lessons on Patreon for the lowest price available. Monthly support gets my student that month's lesson, a critique or paint over of their finished work, a discount code for 25% off the entire Gumroad archive, and access to the Logic of Light and Color Discord community, where we plan future lessons, share knowledge, and learn together as a team. The absolute best method is to join my Patreon classroom at the Student Plus tier, where you'll get everything I just mentioned and a free episode from the archive every month to accelerate your mastery at your own pace. You've decided to take control of your painting and master Izzy's logic of light and color. Now it's up to you to choose the path that's best for you. I'll see you on the flip side. Paint smart, paint sexy.